Well, okie dokie then. So many of you have sent me this video, I swear it's like the digital version of fruitcake. Nobody likes it, but it keeps showing up. Now, I usually like to give the people I make videos about a month-long break. You know, let them bask in their own alternative universes. But here we are again. The man, the myth, the demonstrable realist who thinks reality is a choose-your-own-adventure book. So brace yourselves, because he's going to explain to us why India's moon landing is as fake as his understanding of physics. Please subscribe.
This is next level silliness. None of the online globe representatives have gone anywhere near this Indian moon landing. And rightly so, because it's embarrassing.
Online globe representatives? Oh, you mean the people who aren't flat earthers? Right, I've got you. Well, why would we? Yes, we all saw it as it happened, but unlike flat earthers and demonstrable realists, we just saw it for what it was, an amazing achievement. What about you, Leo? What are your thoughts? I bet you think it's a pantomime, don't you?
The first teddy bear in space!
Yes. Oh, just think, we're entering the Mars atmosphere now.
And that there is no way India landed on the moon because it's scientifically impossible? So do you think that just once you could actually explain to us why it's scientifically impossible instead of just saying it is and nothing else?
But fear not, globe believers. There is someone out there willing to defend it with a passion.
And she is an amazing creator from the TikTok. Well, I'm 50, and as a 50-year-old man, it is my duty to put the word "the" at the beginning of any social media platform. You know, the Facebook, the Twitter, which for some strange reason is now called the X, the Instagram. Anyway, she's called Astro Alex, and she has over 2 million people who follow her TikTok account, which is probably why Leo has picked her video to take a huge steaming dump on.
This, bizarrely enough, was suggested to me in my feed. Someone at YouTube, I fear, is having a laugh. Hey, I'll entertain it because it highlights the absurdity of the mainstream and, of course, the mindset of the mainstream believer. Essentially, they are left with, because of their beliefs, they're left with the discernment of a pebble.
And why exactly is that, Level Earth Observer and every other flat earther out there? Because let's face it, we all knew that flat earthers would have something to say about the Indian moon landing.
That's a fake.
And quite rightly so. I mean, why wouldn't they? Because yet again, we have just witnessed another achievement that shows flat earthers for exactly what they are: morons.
This is huge space news. This morning, India became the first country to have a controlled landing on the south pole of the moon.
Now, before we let this winkle spanner have his say, let's talk about what actually happened. Chandrayaan-3, the third in India's program of lunar exploration, is expected to build on the success of its earlier moon missions, and it comes 15 years after the country's first mission to the moon in 2008, which discovered the presence of water molecules on the parched lunar surface and established that the moon has an atmosphere during the daytime. Chandrayaan-2, which also comprised an orbiter, a lander and a rover, was launched in July 2019, but it was only partially successful, and even today its orbiter continues to circle the moon and study it. But the lander rover failed to make a soft landing and crashed during touchdown.
I hate to break it to you, young lady.
You don't though, do you? You absolutely love this stuff. You're like a moody teenager.
I want a bloody high five!
You know the type. Oh, I only liked Ed Sheeran before he went mainstream. Now I only listen to Japanese J-pop, played by blind women under 4 feet tall. If we say the sky is blue, you say it's purple. So whilst you may be happy to kid yourself, pal, it won't wash on my channel. And I hate to break it to you, young lady. Give me a break. You ain't breaking anything to anyone.
I hate to break it to you, young lady, but watching cartoons on a TV screen, despite the fact grown-ups are clapping it, but watching cartoons on a TV screen isn't proof of anything.
I actually completely agree. Watching cartoons on a TV screen isn't proof of anything, apart from the fact that cartoons are real. However, watching the Indian Space Research Organisation landing on the moon's south pole is absolutely incredible. And the fact that man has done exactly what every single flat earther in existence says can't be done is also pretty awesome, because yet again, it shows them for what they are: idiots, liars, morons. Pick an insult. about. They're all relevant, and you're not fooling anyone, pal. It makes no difference at all how many flat earthers claim that it was fake. It wasn't. But I do understand why you would say it was, because once again, science has done something that completely destroys everything you claim to believe.
Doesn't matter if there's some numbers on the screen as well. Doesn't matter if there's grown adults clapping that cartoon. Doesn't matter if you get to see some images after of a rough terrain.
Doesn't matter if you think it's fake. Doesn't matter if you say it's scientifically impossible. Doesn't matter if you say it's all cartoons. It still happened. And just so I can add it to my content list, when will you be releasing your video where you're frantically trying to debunk the images of the globe Earth that the ISRO is going to send back to us? Can you hold off until late September, just so it fits in with my schedule?
None of that is evidence that India have landed on the moon.
But what? So a live feed of India landing on the moon isn't evidence that India landed on the moon? So what is it then? And please don't say it's a space pantomime. Or maybe do. I like it when you say that.
We have touchdown! Hooray!
Every time you say that, I get disappointed there are no ugly stepsisters or an evil witch with an apple in space. Now, Leo, I don't want to tell you how to run your channel, but most people, even some flat earthers, will try and present some sort of evidence that they think backs up what they're claiming. Why do you only ever say that space and the earth are both scientifically impossible, and yet you never, ever offer any sort of evidence showing us that that's true? In fact, all you actually offer is, well, nothing really, apart from a topic for videos like this. And I mean my videos, not yours. I couldn't give a monkey's chuff about your videos, as long as you keep making them.
If anything, every single thing we've been shown so far is evidence of exactly the opposite. They've gone nowhere near the moon.
Well, okay, and dare I ask why? And you not liking it because it has the potential to show flat Earth for what it is isn't a valid reason. Now, as you were the one making a claim that is the complete opposite of everything science shows us to be factual, saying something didn't happen doesn't mean it didn't happen. We all watched it live, and despite one of your favorite claims, doesn't actually mean the footage of the lander touching down on the moon is CGI. CGI.
You've only got to look at my last few videos regarding this Indian moon landing silliness to see that.
You're a complete tool? Yeah, tell us something we don't know. Like, for example, why you are so certain that the Earth is flat and space is fake, despite you failing to prove any of what you say in all 605 videos on your channel.
Not that you'd need to, you would have only needed to see one of the original clips. And of course, I annihilated in the last video I did. The Indian so-called lunar rover totally exposed the whole charade anyway. Check that video out if you haven't seen it.
Oh yes, I've seen it, all right. And the only purpose that video served is to further highlight just how wrong you are about everything. So this is a Level Earth Observer video in a nutshell. He watches footage like the Indian moon landing, thinks something looks a little bit off to him, and he then concludes that it has to be fake because he doesn't like the way it looks, which isn't really disproving anything. In fact, it proves the opposite of what he wants to be the case, and what he wants the people who watch him to think that are as equally as moronic as he is that organizations like the ISRO and NASA can't get one over on people like him. Well, sorry, Leo, but you're just not that special, mate.
But this is what happens when you believe mainstream silliness. You really don't have a clue about reality.
Right, now is that ironic? Is it the pot calling the kettle black? Or is it both maybe? But once again, I find myself compelled to say, Leo, the fact that you choose to call yourself a demonstrable realist rather than a flat earther doesn't change what you are. And you calling yourself a demonstrable realist is probably the funniest thing I've ever heard a flat earther say. And I've heard a lot of flat earthers say a lot of stupid things. But whether you like it or not, the earth is demonstrably a globe, and nothing you or anyone else will ever say is going to change that. So suck it up, Snowflake, and join us all in this little thing we like to call the real world.
The south pole of the moon is huge for science, and India, Russia, China, and the United States are all trying to get there, especially after India discovered the presence of water ice on the south pole of the moon.
I noticed you didn't show the cartoon landing. You are showing us some nice artwork, but you didn't show the cartoon landing. That's interesting, isn't it?
And people have got the cheek to call me smug. She shares space news and she has one job: to report on facts. And spoiler alert, India did land on the moon's south pole. Why didn't she show the landing? Probably because she's too busy covering the mission's actual accomplishments, not pandering to the moon landing was filmed in a basement crowd. The only ones obsessing over the landing footage are people like you. And you'd call a duck a conspiracy if it quacked too loudly.
So exploring that and the other minerals that are there is very exciting. At the time I'm filming this, there are no publicly released images of the surface of the moon.
Oh, trust me, some silly images have come out. We've had some footage of the lunar rover going towards a ditch, then cut out and then can't reappear the other side of the ditch.
You do realise that the moon is almost 250,000 miles from Earth, don't you? Actually, don't answer that. The reason this video has you throwing your toys out of your pram is in part because you don't even think space is a real place. The footage from the moon's surface is never going to be as high quality as footage filmed here on Earth, and the fact that people like you expect it to be shows us just how little you actually understand about the things you talk about. If you ask me, you should just stick to your magical space pizza. You know, that thing you insist is real and yet have never even come close to showing us is real.
And strangely enough, it looked like there'd been a clean-up job done in the area of the ditch. And based on logical conclusion, any man with the slightest bit of common sense can work out that that rover got stuck in the ditch and as a result had to get rescued by someone, and because of that they had to do a clean-up job with the footprints, etc.
There we go. Level Earth Observer, ladies and gentlemen, proving to us once again that common sense isn't all that common. Now look, I have no idea why the footage cut off at that particular point, and if you were to try and be honest with yourself, neither do you. But the difference between you and I is that you think it's a smoking gun, and I think that if this footage was to have been fake, and do you and all the other flat earth clowns not think that if there was some conspiracy theory that required the faking of landing on the moon, that they would have had the foresight not to put an obstacle directly in the path of the lunar rover, you absolute fool? Think about it. Or have you already decided that it's fake and this was one of those examples of them leaving clues? You know, for special people like you who think it's all smoke and mirrors.
However, in the background of some of the photos from people who were in mission control, there is a photo of the surface of the moon. There it is.
Bless you, my dear. How naive and gullible can you get?
I think that's pretty self-evident. After all, you were the one hiding behind the anonymity of a faceless YouTube channel, claiming that the Earth is flat and that space is fake. Grow up! Next to you, this woman is a certified genius. She's worked with all the space industry giants, translating their complicated missions and tech into easy-to-understand media for the general public and elected officials alike. She knows what she's talking about, whereas you, well, you just know you're talking, and there's a huge difference.
India's budget for this mission, Chandrayaan-3, was $75 million, which is less than half of the cost of the movie Interstellar. This is huge.
Of course it's going to be less than half the cost of the movie Interstellar. It was a terrible sci-fi movie. Interstellar's not a bad sci-fi movie. What was the cost?
It was $165 million. So it cost $165 million to make a believable space movie, which we all know, for want of a better word, is fake. And you actually think they could fake the moon landings for less than the budget of a film?
Interstellar 165 million. So 75 million for the Chandrayaan-3 pantomime. So yeah, that's about right. There's obviously no evidence of either one of these productions being real, because they're not.
So the fact that we watched the Indian lunar lander touching down on the lunar surface live doesn't make you question how they would have been able to fake something like that in real time.
And the production quality of Interstellar was far superior, so it justified the higher price tag.
You do understand that you were literally debunking yourself, don't you? That's another thing people like you fail to notice. If it was faked, it would mean it was pre-made, wouldn't it? You know, like the movies you were just talking about. And then teams of people spend thousands, if not tens of thousands of hours editing the footage, adding sound design, special effects, and generally making the footage look as good as possible and as real as possible. And you actually think the footage we've all seen would have slipped through the cracks? And that if it were fake footage, nobody would have noticed things that may give it away?
The Chandrian 3, I hate to break it to you, was quite expensive really, given what we've seen. I probably could have bettered what we've seen of the Chandrian 3 and come up with stories that of course can't be verified by anyone, just like the Chandrian 3 as well, for a lot less. I would have come in at 1 million.
Well, if you didn't think Leo was a bit of a drip before, I think we can all agree that he is after that, Gem. Honestly, there are people on YouTube spending $1 million plus on producing YouTube videos. Mr. Beast, for example, every video he releases costs more than $1 million to make. Jesus Christ, this guy is an absolute tool.
How's that? And I would have given most of the money to local homeless people in my area. How about that?
Oh yeah, sounds like a plan to me, pal. And I had no idea you were also a philanthropist, among other things. This is just getting silly now, and don't think we haven't noticed that so far you haven't said a single thing that would indicate that you were right and the rest of humanity is wrong, with the exception of all the other flat earthers. I say this in every video I make about flat earth. Just because you say something is fake, that doesn't mean it is.
And I still would have achieved more than India did.
Yeah, now if that isn't one of the most arrogant things I have ever heard a flat earther say, then I don't know what is. Okay, so what have you achieved which would even come close to what the ISRO has just done? And starting a YouTube channel where you lie to people doesn't count. Because let's be honest, your videos aren't that great, are they? So yeah, let us hear all the ways in which you are great and everyone else is a bumbling idiot. Because I myself have never seen a YouTube video where the closing statement comes immediately after the intro and is only 7 seconds long. You need 7 seconds to cover your amazing accomplishments, that is.
And we'll come up with better stories as well.
Oh, I don't doubt that for a second. We've all seen your videos, Leo, so we are all aware that you can tell a good story. Tell us the one about how the earth is flat and millions of people are keeping a secret and not a single one of them has ever slipped up and let the cat out of the bag. That's my personal favourite.
This young lady's so confused. So she's even highlighting the fact it's just a cheap movie, but not even realising it because of her bias towards sci-fi fantasy and spherical rocks residing in a vacuum.
Now look, if you see this, Leo, which we both know you will, can you just answer me one thing? Sorry, I mean, can you explain one thing to me? In the context of space, what is a vacuum? Because I hate to be the one to have to break it to you, pal, but the vacuum of space is like being married. There's no sucking involved. So what exactly you lot think the vacuum of space means is, well, it's wrong, isn't it? But I look forward to your reply.
Crazy to see members of the public so baffled and confused by the simple truth of this realm, simply because of what they've been told by certain individuals or establishments, or shown sci-fi things on the television screen. Put that collection together and you've got a deluded pantomime.
Yes! Now it's a Level Earth Observer video, so the very medium you yourself use to lie to people about everything is the same medium that is being used by the establishment to do what you consider to be the same thing you do. Lying to people. Can't you see the flaw in that argument? Oh wait, sorry, my mistake. You never actually show anyone anything, do you? You just repeat your catchphrases and then sit back and bask in the glory of the supportive comments you receive from people who are as equally deluded as you are.
So let's just address if it is real and what should really be happening. India should be going to the moon, taking hundreds of cameras up there, some with zoom capabilities, all of them set up facing the Earth 24/7. Some of the cameras they could sell the live stream footage to weather channels, and just doing that alone they'd save thousands of lives each year.
I'm not really sure why you think they need hundreds of cameras when realistically one would be enough to completely destroy your beloved flat Earth. And don't worry, mate, the pictures will be published. And I like the weather idea, but, and again, I hate to be the one to burst your bubble, but that's already a thing. Only yesterday there was a video published showing Hurricane Idalia intensifying into a Category 4 storm. But I imagine that the video footage from that satellite is just fake as well, is it?
Just by watching the Earth 24/7, able to watch, observe the Earth, the weather patterns, and as a result, based on what they're seeing, save thousands of lives.
Like I just said, Leo, we already do that. We already have satellites in orbit around our glorious globe-shaped Earth that can show us footage from storm systems, and does. So it was a nice idea, but it's just like when I thought I'd come up with $1 million idea. Cordless vacuum cleaners. And then that knobhead James Dyson beat me to it.
And in other cameras, you could save for real science, having zoom capabilities to zoom in and out on parts of the Earth.
So is the rest of your video just going to be you brainstorming ideas that already exist, or do you have anything of value to add?
And even the base claims themselves are absurd when you consider where we're at now in this timeline of supposed space. We should be having firework displays on the moon. We should be having hire cameras to zoom in and out in certain areas, and we could do our own firework displays and view it from the moon. But no, we don't get any of that. We get very dodgy looking footage, cartoons, and naive, very naive people believing it. Very, very few attempting to defend it. Have a good one, everyone.
So that would be a no then, Leo. You could have just said no. Anywho, huge shout out to all the people who hit the super thanks button on the last few videos. I know I'm terrible. I've been slacking with my shout outs. But I went away for a weekend with her indoors. But please don't think that your incredible support goes unnoticed. It doesn't. And if you are able to support what I do here on the channel, then all the ways you can help are linked below this video.
You're awesome.
Don't forget, there's another rant video out on Monday night at 7:30 PM. So until then, I will bid you farewell in the expected way. Love you, bye.
Alright, watch this next. But before you do, make sure you subscribe. By order of the Creaky Blinder.